The Morning Sports Desk, available on demand on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and WadenaRadio.com.
It is the Morning Sports Desk on a Monday, the 23rd of September. I'm CJ Baumgartner, Corey Tackman in the middle, Zeke off to the far side. And do you remember the 21st night of September? That was on a Saturday. We didn't quite get to use that, but there it is. It's out there.
Of this year, or which year are you asking about?
Just in general.
Oh,
any September 21st.
Any September.
Then no. Still, it's no matter what date.
All right, we got a couple things to talk about, Vikings related, also Twins related. But first, we start things out locally, and pretty Staples-Motley heavy Monday here. Zeke, the floor is yours. You have some inside connections related to Cardinal adjacent things going on.
Yeah, big one Friday, the annual Roy Griak Invitational at the U of M, kind of a showcase of great high school and collegiate talent. You want to talk about Staples-Motley cross country, some of the best to do it in the area for the last handful of decades. You look at the top 15 from the collegiate, the 8K. I mean, they run the 5K in high school. They up it to an 8K in college, and two Staples-Motley alumni finishing in the top 12. Emmett Anderson with running for the Gophers, and Hunter Klimek with the NDSU Bison. Klimek actually setting the NDSU school record in the 8K, 25 minutes, 22 seconds, finished 3 seconds behind his former teammate and Emmett Anderson. And watching the highlights of that race, you knew Hunter was coming for Emmett. This could be the final time that they ever race together with Hunter in the Summit League and Emmett in the Big Ten. I don't know if their paths are going to cross anymore this year. Emmett is a redshirt junior. Hunter is a senior at NDSU. So a lot of Staples-Motley fans excited to see those two guys go head-to-head last Friday. And, of course, Audrey Brownell, number one ranked runner in the state. She ran or she did not run at the GRIAC, I don't think. I'll have to double-check. I haven't looked at the high school results from that day, but Audrey, number one ranked runner in the state, and I think she's won every race she's been in. She won in Wadena a couple weeks ago. She won at the Dragon Twilight Invite in Moorhead a couple days after that. So she's dominating girls high school cross country in Class A right now. Yeah,
really, really fun to see. And of course, as we know, those runners are pretty good in that part of the world, and continuing to do that at the collegiate level first off is just amazing. So that's really cool. Corey, anything to add?
Good job, you guys.
Good job. Orange slices all around, says Corey. Yeah. Chocolate milk at his house after the game, after the race.
Not that far slower than they've run it.
All right. So the other thing going on in the Staples-Motley part of the world, I guess you could say, or Cardinal adjacent. I don't know what the proper terminology is, but the latest Beck's Player with Heart Spotlight. Spotlight's, of course, a multitude of players from multiple states, but in Minnesota, one of them is Abby Brickashek of Staples, and she was nominated as a Beck's Player with Heart for her commitment and passion on and off the court and field, according to BrownfieldAgNews.com. The thing she enjoys most about high school sports is the connection she has made through the games and tournaments with other teams and her teammates. She competes in trap shooting and skeet teams, track and field, and volleyball. She is also the 24-25 Staples-Motley FFA treasurer and volunteers at the Sacred Heart Catholic School in Staples and supports small family farms. To her, agriculture is central to how she lives and works. It represents a sustainable future by growing crops and raising animals to feed the population. Abby plans to get her associate's degree and continue to culinary school to become a pastry chef after high school. That's the little write-up there on BrownfieldAgNews.com. And guys, it's a cool moment there.
Yeah, it's very cool. The note came in earlier this morning, just kind of letting us know about Abby and her efforts. I like the little part in her bio. She's gonna wrap up her associate's degree in high school and then go off to culinary school, which is pretty sweet. So, Abby,
pun intended, because it's the pastry chef.
If you need anybody to taste test anything, feel free to reach out to the Morning Sports Desk. I think we'd be more than willing. In case you're wondering, this from the Brownfield Ag News, like CJ mentioned, during the year, along with Beck's, they recognize these high school athletes And it's demonstrating players with heart is how it's described. And then there's scholarships that can potentially be awarded from this. So for Abby Prokachik to be able to get this recognition and notice that way is cool, above and beyond, what we normally see around the area, right? We, it's goofballs like us at radio stations or newspapers or public access television who are recognizing. And it's nice to see that something out and stretching out beyond what is just like traditional high school league stuff. So congratulations to Abby.
Yeah.
Circling real quick back to Griak. Audrey did run. She took a 14th place on Friday. Time of 19:18.4. Winning time was 18 minutes 2 seconds was the winning time in the girls' championship 5K. So Audrey did run, took 14th place. Staples-Motley's the team, 42nd place overall. The Perham Yellow Jackets finished 11th in the 43-team field.
Insane. So
crazy.
That's awesome.
Huge race.
Huge. Before we let Corey go, I know he's got to run. So, Corey, we're going to let you talk Minnesota Vikings. We want you to leave in a positive note, so don't even worry about the Twins. The floor is yours. Yeah, or the Gophers. Tell us your entire thoughts on Minnesota Vikings football. Should we be all in?
Yeah, are you kidding me? This is so fun right now. The thing that I am most surprised by watching their victory over Houston was there wasn't a single time during that game where it occurred to me that Houston was a bad football team. Right? Week 1, you could watch that Giants team and they were like, these guys suck. And so much so that you can't even, it's hard to properly, like, what are the Vikings actually when they play the Giants? And then week 2, San Francisco comes to town and you're like, well, they're injured. They had a really weird preseason. They're off a really short week. Guys didn't this is for most of their starters, like only week 2 of them actually being able to play together. So what does that actually mean? I think we all think San Francisco is going to be in it at the end, but what does that mean for who they are now? But this Houston team was like a team on the right trajectory. They hadn't played well, like perfectly yet, but we're still undefeated, still finding ways to win games. And everyone still thinks very highly of this Houston team. And it's not like they looked bad. It looked like the Vikings gobbled them whole. Like it was the whale eating Jonah. Just home. We're taking everything. We're taking your life. It was super impressive. Before I go, and you guys can go wherever you want with this, I'm going to give you 2 birth dates and 2 quarterbacks, and I want you to tell me which one is older. Joe Burrow, December 10th, 1996. I'm just going to tell you the birth dates, apparently. Sam Darnold,
fun game.
7. Good game. Anybody want to guess? Did you glean from that what I just said?
Are you trying to say that Joe Burrow is younger than Sam Darnold?
Sam Darnold is younger than Joe Burrow.
Yeah.
This is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid.
It's insane. I heard that stat, I think, yesterday. And, yeah, Joe Burrow's been to a Super Bowl, but everybody thinks, like, established veteran, whatever. Yeah, Sam Darnold came into the NFL, like, 20 years old.
All right, let's play one more really fun game since I'm good at this. I have to leave early, so I'm going to go now. True or false?
False. False.
You're so dumb. All right, Skull Vikings, and see you next time. Bye.
Get out of here.
Corey Tackman taking a pause here. But, I mean, Zeke, I saw a stat about Sam Darnold, and there's a whole lot of things that you could say about Sam Darnold. He's turnover prone, and he had a couple turnover-worthy plays that did not come back to bite the Vikings. But overall, they gave the term point guard for Sam Darnold. Can he be the point guard of this team? Can he just facilitate? Can he just lob the ball to Justin Jefferson about 8 times a game and have it work out? And the answer is yes. They're 3-0 and have beaten 2 really impressive teams in the Texans and the 49ers. I mean, look, I've always considered myself a Darnold truther. Anytime a team took Sam Darnold, I'm like, hey, if he got on the field, I said this was San Francisco last year. I thought that initially with Carolina. I thought even when the Jets took him, I thought that's the guy. The Jets got their guy. And for him to flop and come to Minnesota, I tempered my expectations a little, but I was like, this gut feeling in my stomach is like, Sam Darnold could have a very nice year. And through the first 3 weeks of the season, leads the league in touchdown passes.
Yeah, I think the guy already has more one-score victories than Kirk Cousins had in his 6 years in Minnesota. Hey, Kirk had another one-score game last night.
He only plays one-score games.
I was rooting for him against Kansas City.
Offensive coordinator did him dirty, running out of the shotgun on 3rd and 1, and then 4th and inches going sideways.
Yep, but that goes on Kirk's primetime record. Kirk Cousins terrible in primetime. No, the thing I'm hearing national media wise with Sam Darnold is kind of, especially with what happened to Bryce Young this last week, is advocating to have guys not start right away, because that's kind of how it was for so long. You only get a Dan Marino once every generation, right? No one comes in and does the things that Dan Marino did.
You don't get an Andrew Luck.
Andrew Luck. Yeah, those are the two guys. There's a reason that Caleb Williams was the first rookie quarterback to win week 1 since like 2002. And he didn't do anything to help his team win. He had 94 passing yards.
If anything, he held them down.
Exactly. So there's a reason to advocate of having guys sit behind another quarterback, not having them even sniff the field the first 2, 3, 4 years of their contract. You look at Aaron Rodgers, and he sat behind Brett Favre forever. You look at Eli Manning, and he kind of got a little taste of the starting situation, then got benched for Kurt Warner and just all the moving parts. And then Bryce Young is not great, and Caleb Williams is not great, and Bo Nix has not been playing great. And maybe it was a blessing in disguise to have J.J. McCarthy need seizing in surgery after his one preseason start, because now we do get to see Sam Darnold. There's not the pressure there to have McCarthy on the field if, Sam Darnold isn't doing what Sam Darnold is doing right now. And we may or may not see him week 4 in Green Bay. We're waiting on MRI results on the knee injury he suffered yesterday, tweaked it. Mullins came in, Darnold came back, was feeling good enough to go. But we'll see how much damage was done there. But this just further enunciates it emphasizes patience for NFL starting quarterbacks. Yes, we want to see that new toy brought right out of the box, that first overall pick, that top 10 pick. But the NFL, as you can see watching Caleb Williams these last 3 weeks, is just a totally different game speed-wise than what he's used to. And he has just looked completely overmatched. And he was supposed to be the next big thing, the next Peyton Manning, the next whoever you want to compare him to. And it just hasn't been that, because there's so much adjusting to happen. You see ghosts, as Sam Darnold said his rookie season, playing that Bill Belichick defense with the New York Jets. And there's so much to learn. And like Corey said before he ditched, is Sam Darnold. He's only 27 years old. He's just hitting his prime. He came into the league super young. He's had 7 years bouncing around and getting experience and learning and soaking everything in. And then he finally gets his opportunity. And even yesterday, without TJ Hawkinson, without Jordan Addison, I mean, this offense is just so good. The defense is even better. Couldn't be the perfect situation for Sam Darnold. And the patience is paying off, and the Vikings kind of the beneficiaries of that right now.
Well, and you make a great point about the quarterbacks. And I think the other thing, too, that we're starting to notice, too, is play callers. You also need or play designer, whatever one you want to use. I mean, look at the Chicago Bears right now with whoever the heck their offensive coordinator is. They are not in sync. The plays are uncreative. They're not. I mean, how many times do you watch a Vikings game? And this is a little biased because we watch every snap of the Vikings game. But how many times do you watch and they show a replay and you go, oh, my goodness, Kevin O'Connell's a genius. Like, there's a play where Ian Eagle gets on TV and he's like, how did Jefferson get that wide open? To Kevin O'Connell, because the Texans know where Justin Jefferson is. They know exactly, like every team knows where Justin Jefferson is. They always do these extra coverages for him, and yet he still finds a way to get open. That's play calling. Darnold having wide open guys all around the field is play design, play calling, and finding things that work for him. And as a pass coordinator, running game is still a little up and down for Kevin O'Connell, but as a pass coordinator, he's one of the best in the NFL, and it's why Sam Darnold threw 4 touchdown passes yesterday. And that's just helped out the Vikings so much with all of this. I want to flip over to the defensive side of the ball because when you look at things, Zeke, the Vikings defense held the Texans, I think, 3 of 13 on third down, but I think like 7 of those, or maybe it was 10 of them, I don't know. There were so many 10 different third down situations where the Texans had third and plus 10 to go, which is just impossible for a team to convert, especially that many times. So the fact that they got behind the sticks and CJ Stroud did not look comfortable all night long. I mean, with Kevin O'Connell and his offensive mind, on the defensive side of the ball, you have Brian Flores, who now is good defensive players and is cooking with grease right now. Like that thing, that fire is hot right now. I mean, how excited are you in this Vikings defense?
Yeah, we were talking about the guys that the offense was missing yesterday. No Hawkinson, no Addison. Well, no Ivan Pace yesterday. No Dallas Turner. Mekhi Blackman is out, and so he's doing it with these. Blake Cashman is going to be like the best defensive free agent signing last year.
Right.
Blake Cashman and Andrew Van Ginkel and guys that were specifically targeted for this defense, where Flores says that's the guy I want. He's going to fit my scheme perfectly. And through 3 weeks, it's just been it's been dominant, and it's been so much fun to watch.
And I think the biggest thing with this defense too is it's not just the fact that they are talented. It's the fact that they're veteran and they're a weirdly old defense when you think about it. You know, I know that it's a rebuilt defense, and Dallas Turner's young, but when you look at some of the other guys, it's a lot of veteran players. Blake Cashman's a veteran. Jonathan Grenard is a veteran. Andrew Van Ginkel, a veteran. Harrison Phillips, a veteran, who had a great game yesterday upon getting that contract extension. And then you have like Stephon Gilmore in the secondary. And why that's important is because they do such a good job of showing that they're going to do one thing and then doing something completely different almost every play and keeping teams off balance. And that's something that younger teams have the talent to win their matchups and to do whatever. But so much in the NFL is pre-snap. And if the quarterback has no idea what you're doing before the play, there were times where CJ Stroud, like it looked like the Vikings were going to do a blitz. So he basically changed the call to where he's just going to dump it off to a guy crossing over the middle. The Vikings drop back into cover 2, and they covered it perfectly. And the fact that they are veteran and they have the savvy vets on that defense, I think is a very underrated part of this thing.
Yeah, huge part of that secondary. You mentioned Gilmore. What about Harrison Smith? I mean, this guy has just played like it's 2013 again these last handful of games. I think it was Sauce Gardner who tweeted yesterday, man, 10+ years in the league for Harrison Smith, and this guy is just as dominant as he was before. And so it's very surprising. I mean, not so much surprising with Harrison Smith because you know what you're going to get with Harry the Hitman, but just the secondary was the big question mark coming into the season, and they played great these first 3.
Yeah, I mean they were a huge question mark, and at the beginning of the season, I mean they look completely different than what we thought they were going to be even just 2 months ago. But for them to come out and to do the things that they're doing is insane. And for Stephon Gilmore, we talked about it. That signing was questionable. Like, he's older. Is he going to get cooked? What's happening? And the thing we talked about is older corners like Patrick Peterson, like some of these other guys, they don't have the athleticism they had early in their careers that made them dominant. But if they still have the brain, they make it past, like Xavier Rhodes fell. And this isn't to question Xavier Rhodes' intelligence or anything, but it's to say that, like, you know, guys like Patrick Peterson, when their athleticism falls through, they have to rely on their brain and matchups and being a smart player. And some of those guys who rely just on physicality and that's gone, you don't have the technique, you don't have the smarts to back it up, you're gone at 26. But if you hang through, it typically means you have good technique, you're a smart player. And Stephon Gilmore is one of those guys. So yeah, he's not as good as he was 5 years ago, but he's still he can still be a good player on a dominant defense because he knows where to go and he knows his technique and he's worked with Brian Flores before. It's just been huge with this team. And CJ Stroud is a guy who's, you know, heralded as like Peyton Manning level of like insanity, like intensity when it comes to like pre-snap and studying things, and a guy that, you know, is seen as a very smart guy. And of course made the comment that said, you know, the NFL is easier than college or something like that. And for the Vikings, they made him wish he went to go play for Ohio State again because he went to the bench and put his hands in his face and is just like, I don't know.
He looked distraught yesterday.
Yeah, it's fun to see. And by the way, Zeke, and one last thing, the Vikings special teams, pretty good. And I think
will the thrill, baby.
I think we have a kicker. Do we have a kicker finally?
Don't jinx it. Don't jinx it.
I mean, that guy, I'm glad the Vikings, when it was that 4th and whatever in the 4th quarter, and it's like, we don't have to kick the field goal. We could probably just punt it and play field position. They're like, no, you know what? We're up by 3 scores in the 4th quarter. Let's give our kicker a chance from 58. And I heard that doink from not from the TV audio. I heard it from my house.
Yeah.
Because that thing was loud, but it banked in. You kiss it off the goalpost. The Vikings got themselves a nice kicker.
Even the doinks are going the Vikings way, which never happens. It's always the opposite way. I think that the field goal yesterday, the second longest in franchise history, Greg Joseph has the longest at 61, and then Will has the second longest field goal already. Like his third game as a Viking.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go.
Consider yourself thrilled.
Yes, Will the Thrill.
Will the Thrill. And then you see a picture of him in this. And I mean this in an endearing way, a goofy-looking 21-year-old from Alabama who is doing ads for Walmart on his social media pages. So that's always fun to see. But one thing, we've had so much positivity, Zeke. It'd only be fair if we bring this down, if we just sank our hopes. The Minnesota Twins, Zeke, have now fallen out of playoff positioning for the first time in months. And I've been doing this with Corey for the last month. We've been looking at FanGraphs playoff odds, the Twins playoff odds to make the playoffs. And now 2 weeks ago, it was 80%. It shot down to 53.4. The Tigers now are at a 71% chance to make the playoffs. The Royals at 68.7. The AL East teams, besides the Orioles and Yankees, are out of it. The Mariners have like a 5% chance, but let's be honest, they're pretty much done. So it's just those three AL Central teams. Now, the Twins own tiebreakers over both, so they're only a game back of each of them. But, Zeke, just gut level, is this team making the playoffs? Yes or no?
First off, I want to say this is a Detroit Lakes Ligers hat I'm wearing today. This is not a Detroit Tigers hat. I was going to put it away for the week just because I'm tired of explaining to people that this is the Detroit Lakes Ligers, not the Detroit Tigers. But it's a super comfy hat, and I love it. No, at this point, I don't even know if I want the Twins to make the playoffs, because if they make the playoffs, I don't think anything changes front office wise or ownership wise or managerial wise. I think they sneak in by the skin of their teeth. Maybe they'll win a playoff game or two. I think they would draw Houston at this point if they do make the playoffs. And
I think because they have the tiebreaker over both Kansas City and Detroit. I think if they tied with it's a three-way tie, right. They go up. Yeah. But pretty much Houston feels like
up. Yeah, but if they don't make the playoffs, I think something changes. And you look at what some of the other teams did. Even you look at Kansas City, and they weren't supposed to be in this position. Cleveland wasn't supposed to be in this position. Right. The Twins were the team to beat. They didn't make any improvements. You can argue they got worse with the guys they let go, and now it's coming back to bite them. You don't make any major move to the trade deadline. You don't have that bullpen support that Kansas City was able to bring in, that Cleveland was able to bring in, and now you're blowing leads and you're getting outscored in a doubleheader 17-5 or 6 or whatever it was yesterday. I wasn't. It was NFL Sunday. I checked the Twins twice. They were down 8-1, and I was like, oh, fine. And then checked them for the nightcap, and it wasn't any better. But the Twins made this bet, and now they're lying in it. And fans are not happy. And you have a potential to springboard off the momentum of last season. You finally break that playoff game streak, and you're up and up and up and up, and then you cut payroll by $35 million, and you expect to stay competitive in the American League Central, and they did for a long time, and they just ran out of gas. And now you've got 3 against Miami. Miami's terrible; they're out of it. And then you've got Baltimore, who's still fighting for playoff position. Meanwhile, the Tigers get the White Sox for the last 3 games. They've lost 120 games. They've lost 120 games with 6 games left. And of course, it's going to work out that way, where they're playing the White Sox and we're playing the Orioles, who are still in the mix for the AL East by the skin of their teeth and want playoff position in the wild card. It's just I'm ready to move on. Am I going to root for them? Yeah, always, because that's how we roll. But I'm ready for the Twins to be done. I'm ready for them to be done.
He's officially shifted into Vikings mode right now.
Yes, yeah. Hey, the Wild won their first preseason game. They beat the Jets 5-3. The Lynx are in the playoffs. They smoked the Phoenix Mercury, and Game 2 is Wednesday. So let's
turn the page.
Turn the page. Yeah, let's cut payroll more this offseason and finish below Chicago next year. That's where I'm at.
Oh, it's all right. Chicago said they're cutting payroll too, because obviously they didn't spend. They spent too much money on that team.
How do they cut payroll?
I think they're cutting payroll by just not playing.
They're gonna release Grady Sizemore and cut his payroll. And bring
Everybody's making league minimum. Thank you. But with the Twins, you're right. I mean, it feels like this is the second time in 2 years that they've had a collapse like this, where they go into the second half of the season in playoff positioning, and in September they crumble. And look, Rocco Baldelli's going to get a lot of the blame. I'm not saying he's been perfect in this situation, but I feel like here's what's going to happen. The season ends, the Twins miss the playoffs, and the front office won't get fired, but because you won't make seismic changes, but they'll make the ownership will be okay with making a change at manager, because then they can go, Rocco was the problem. And I got to tell you, if you think Rocco Baldelli is the reason this team crumbled down the stretch, you can say he didn't help. That's fair. But if he's not the reason that the team / payroll front office didn't make great moves, all the bullpen options they brought in are not on the team anymore. And Cole Irvin probably should be on the
team. Jay Jackson, Stephen Okert. Yeah, we're
right. Exactly.
Nothing.
And I get they had a hand tied behind their back, but I think they said, well, the hand tied behind our back, let's just go get veteran bullpen arms. And they didn't, all of those failed. So this is just a big way of saying this season is on ownership. This is all on ownership. And firing Rocco, even firing the front office, which they're not going to do. But if they fired the front, even if they clean house, that's not solving the main problem, which is that ownership gutted this team and then expected them to still compete. And look, nobody was a bigger Royals doubter than I was this season, but even you got to admit they spent money and they got veterans to raise the floor of their team. And the Twins last season, why did they avoid a collapse then from the last 2 years? Well, it's because they had veterans on their team. It's because they had these players. Their bullpen got better at the end of this season. They're able to stockpile this pitching. And I mean, they crumbled. And I know we still have 6 games left. Gut level, I think the Twins still do make the playoffs. I think Miami's bad. I think Baltimore will have their playoff spot locked up, and they'll start to prep for the wild card. Like, they'll rest their main arms for the wild card series. But that being said, it's not like the Twins are only the Angels and the White Sox have played worse than the Twins since the 18th of August when they played Texas. And it's so weird, Zeke, how you can pinpoint when the season, like, there was like the ground underneath started to shift, but the total collapse came in the 7th inning of that game in Texas. They were trying to get a 4-game sweep of the Rangers, and Jorge Alcala comes in with a 5-0 lead, and the Twins lose. And ever since then, it's just been hanging on for dear life. They've won, I think, 2 series since then, 3 series since that point, and it's been a month. It's just been a mess for them. And I think there were fans I saw putting fire Rocco chants out there because he put in Cole Irvin for his Heavy Matthews. And look, that was a bad move, but whatever. Like, I don't think that if that's the straw that broke the camel's back for you, like, I think that this just goes so much deeper because it's ownership gutting this team. And then basically, I think the ownership will fire Rocco. I think it's a scapegoat to be like, you see, it wasn't we were close. We were in it. It's that darn manager. If we get a new one, who, by the way, the fan base will immediately hate because the front office will pick them and the ownership will pick them. And it's like, it's like you're spinning. Fire the front office. Yeah. Okay, well, you wanted the front office fired before, and then they hire a guy, and you're like, oh, well, that's just the Pohlads, man. And it's like, well, yeah, because they're the owners. Like, it's the ownership is the biggest issue, I think, with this team. It's not to absolve anybody, but, Zeke, I was so happy talking about the Vikings 10 minutes ago. What happened to us?
You want to talk about Gophers? Let's talk Gophers. Let's talk Gopher football.
Yeah. All right, I got one stat for you for Gopher football, and then I'm done. Ready? Okay. In the Gophers' last 9 games against major conference opponents, so any teams in the Big Four, in the Power Four, they are 2-9, or they're 2-7, excuse me, in their last 9. Their one win came against Iowa a year ago, and they're on their 3rd quarterback, and the other one,
Auburn, baby.
They beat Nebraska last year.
No, that's right.
No, yeah. Auburn was weirdly 5 years ago now, soon to be
5
years ago.
And he's still hanging his hat on that, though. He's still hanging his hat on that Auburn win.
And look, don't get me wrong, first New Year's Day win for the Gophers in 50 years, but like at a certain point. Oh, and by the way, PJ Fleck's buyout this year, $22.5 million.
Which is why he's not going anywhere. He'll be back next year, and
he'll be back. The only thing is if he leaves for a different job. But if he has that buyout, no school's going to want that buyout this year. He's stuck, and the Gopher, and that's made PJ Fleck, stuck. And that may be the Gopher, like, it's just probably hit its natural end. He can recruit. He can bring in players. I think he does bring in energy to the program. But that being said, every second half, this guy gets his butt kicked by opposing coaches. Kirk Ferentz, Mac Brown, he plays the Brett Bielemas of the world. And every time the Gophers play well in the first half, second half adjustments, and second half adjustments aren't huge. Like, they get overrated a little bit, and I think so too, because it's only like you walk into the locker room and you maybe just tweak like 2 different things. It's not that you rework your whole game plan, but why is it every time in the second half the Gophers look like they don't know how to play football because the opposing team goes into the locker room, says, hey, let's do this differently, and then they're like, we just don't know what to do. And that's what happened. How do you let Iowa score 31 points?
Sure did.
I don't
hang your head on that. But it's okay. It's okay. We get to go to Michigan on Saturday. So
I saw Fox was hyping that game up. Good luck. Or NBC or whoever. Good luck with that game.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Good
All
grief.
Right. Meanwhile, the Vikings are 3-0. Packer week. Let's go. If the Vikings win, I think that means we get to like duct tape our sales guy Jared to the wall or something like that.
Yeah, I'm still not seeing an update on Sam Darnold's knee.
Well, like in typical podcast form, the moment we sign off is the moment
they'll announce it. Yeah,
is the moment something will happen. So until next time, Zeke, thanks for hopping on. This has been the Morning Sports Desk for a Monday, the 23rd of September.
The Morning Sports Desk, available on demand on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts, and WadenaRadio.com.